Hello there. This is Sherry Simpson. I'm a transformational life coach. I help people connect to their inner guidance. I help people understand what's going on with their bodies and the signs and symptoms around them. I help people release stuff from their past, including past lives, connect in with themselves and what they want for their future, and then move into that space. So today I am going to show you how to use a pendulum in order for you to access information that is even more helpful and useful. So if you are receiving this, you have likely used a pendulum before, understand how to use it, and possibly you're watching this because you just received a video from me about how to use a pendulum and how to program it and how to get a yes or no from it. You need to know that information first. So if you don't know that information and you don't have a pendulum, this is probably not going to be that useful. So what I want to show you is a really cool tool, and I am going to show you my artwork. So this is a chart that I have created that has rows and columns in it. And the rows and columns are labeled. So we have 5 rows and 5 columns of letters. And then at the end, we have an extra couple of rows and columns of numbers that you could use as percentages. So the cool thing about using a structure like this with a pendulum is where the inside is, you could put anything. So you could put the names of cities, you could put the names of people, you could put information about just about anything, and you can put multiple things in each box. And you can ask your pendulum, is the answer to this question in a row? And you can ask it, is it in an even row? Is it in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10, or however many rows you have? And if it says, yes, it's in an even row, then you can say, is it in row 2? Or is it in row 2, 4, or 6? And if you get a yes, then you say, okay, is it in row 2? And you get a yes or no. So you can weed yourself down to get the answer, to figure out which box it is in which row. You do the same for columns and figure it out if it's in an even or an odd column, or if it's in column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to do. So you'll get yes and no responses from your pendulum, and then you'll have a box. And in that box, depending on what you've put in it, you can ask, is it this item, is it this item, is it this item, is it this item? And if obviously there's only one item in here, then you can ask that information. So what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to collect the information for my main spirit guide and what that spirit guide's name is using this chart. And that's obviously something that you can do. That's information from your inner self that you might not be able to get the information from yourself. So what happens is a lot of times we let ego get involved. So if I say, what's the name of my spirit guide? Then I get the answer right away because I already know it. But if you don't know it and you get a whole bunch of names and things are fuzzy and people are coming to you and you're like, I don't know, then this is one way for you to actually get the information. And one interesting thing as well, and why I put the numbers there, is you can ask, how many spirit guides do I have? Is the number in row, whatever I have, row 6? And if that number is not in row 6, or if it's not in column 6, then I'll get a no. Is it in column 7? I'll get a no. And so you'll be able to clean if it's a yes or a no, and how many you have. And then once you figure out how many you have, remember, this information works for anything. So if you're not interested in gleaning information about your spirit guide, then you can do this with just about anything. You can do it with percentages as well. So 1 to 10 is not necessarily a scale of 1 to 10 or a number, but it could be percentages about things. And so most people have one spirit guide at birth, and then they get a couple more usually before their teens, and then a couple more usually after your teens. And if you've had certain things that you're dealing with in life, then often you'll bring in a guide who is meant to help you with just that specific thing. So the interesting information is you can get the names, you can get the numbers, you can get information that, you know, some people want to know. You want to know if your spirit guide's name is like, you know, Bartholomew or something like that, because then you could say, hey, Bart, I need some help, instead of just saying, hey, can somebody help me? So that can be really specific and very helpful and useful. So let's go through this and try it. So I'm going to ask, how many spirit guides do I have? Do I have more than 3? My answer is yes. Do I have more than 6? My answer is yes. And so I'm not going to keep going. Well, I guess I can. Do I have more than 10? No. Do I have more than 8? No. Do I have 7 spirit guides at this point in time? Yes. And that makes sense because I used to have 6 spirit guides, and I actually was just informed that my grandfather on my father's side joined my spirit team maybe about 6 or 8 months ago. And so it makes sense that I have 7 because I know that I had 6 before. So obviously there's 7 now. So thanking the pendulum, thank you for that information. So now I'd like to know the name of my main spirit guide. So my spirit guide from birth is the first initial of my spirit guide in an even row, 2, 4, 2 or 4. And I'm getting a no, and I know what my spirit guide's name is, so that's correct information for me. So is the first initial of my spirit guide in column 1? I'm getting a no. In column 3, I'm getting a no. In column 5, yes. And so because I already know, in column 5, I have the option of 5 different rows. So is it an even row where this letter is? I'm going to move this up so you can actually see it. Can you show me that in a louder response? So is the first initial of my main spirit guide in column 5, row 2? Yes, it's a J. And so you can continue doing that. And I know that it is tedious, but sometimes you can glean the information then because you'll click into the information. So I'm just going to ask outright because I know. So is the, I'm already getting a yes because I'm saying it in my head. Is the name of my main spirit guide John? Yes. So my spirit guide's name is John. And so you can do that just with a simple chart and a pendulum. And then if you have the ability or the sense to bring the information in, then if you already knew that it was John, or if you had a sense that it might be because the name John is all over the place in your life, or when you are thinking about asking for help, you think of the name John or something like that, like for yourself, maybe it's Bartholomew, maybe it's Whitney, maybe it's whoever. But then you can use the pendulum to confirm the information that is coming through. So a lot of times with myself, when I'm working on inner guidance and I'm working on information, I like the confirmation because then, you know, I'm a logical person. I have a computer science degree. Like I grew up very logical and very prove it. So this is a confirmation for me that my logical head isn't just getting away with me, and in a spiritual, deep, honest, true sense, it's like I'm confirming and backing up the information, and that just makes it feel more honoring and more truthful. So that is how you use a chart. There are more ways to do it, but this is definitely one way that you can use. So using a pendulum, using chart, and again, you can put a lot of different information into charts. So say there are emotions that you feel like you had stuck in your body. You could use a much smaller chart that only had 3 rows and 3 columns and start filling them with emotions. So you could put like love or fear or guilt or obligation or contentment or overwhelm or whatever you wanted. within here. And if you couldn't label something yourself, or if you couldn't figure out what it is that's the root cause or root emotion, then you could actually go to something like this and put the information into the chart and then ask the pendulum to choose the row and column that contains the emotion, or that contains the essence of what it is that's keeping you blocked, or what it is that is the root cause of certain things, or what emotion is are you not allowing to surface. And so I just find it as a helpful tool. So I'm hoping that's helpful for you as well. If you want any future guidance, then you can certainly connect with me to receive future guidance. I'm really hoping that was helpful. Enjoy working with your pendulum. Enjoy connecting to your inner and highest self and receiving truth. And be prepared, because the more you do this, the more open you are to receiving more truth and to receiving more guidance and to expanding your connection to self and your intuition. So it's a doorway that will help you expand things in a greater way. So namaste. Thank you.